Hello and welcome back to Vox Terra. The show's purpose it is to help us make the long-term survival of the species the political priority. And key to that is generating an environmental thinking, generating an awareness about climate change so that it needs to be addressed. Yet, most times when you go on YouTube or look on the internet, it seems like the politics is actually focused on hastening our extinction. There's what's called a denial industry regarding climate change and really environmental pollution in general. So there's billions of dollars in fossil fuels and tons of money to help fund that denial industry. The most common denial tactic and the most obvious is simply, it ain't real, it ain't happening. That's denial tactic number one. Denial tactic two, as I've mentioned, is dismissal. It's not so bad, it's off in the future, it's polar bears, it's not yet, it's not now. Then there is deflection, a term I made up, which is that you want to take, yes, global warming is real, climate change is real, we are entering a horrific era, but it's by something else, cycles of this nature, anything but the excessive burning of fossil fuels. And then another in the D theme that I'm making up, I'm calling discredit solutions. Discredit solutions. And I recently saw that on YouTube. In fact, I see it all the time. Renewable energy isn't going to work. It won't do any good or something of that nature. So one of the tactics with renewable energy, with wind and solar in particular, is to point out the fact that the sun ain't always shining and the wind ain't always blowing. So here's the solution that people are examining to solve that. It is called grid efficiency, meaning you can make the power grid, the power lines of transition more efficient, and you can also have them more respondent to demand, able to switch and switch where the power is coming from. So you've got wind blowing here or the sun shining there and that type of thing, and switch the electric around. Another one is energy storage. Now, energy storage has actually existed, in fact, as well as grid efficiency. These have both existed and were developed initially to support the fossil fuel and nuclear power industries, because power demand is not always the same. It can take a while to ramp up that coal plant or that oil burning plant to meet higher demand. It can take, and nuclear power plants operate at a steady stream, so there might not be enough power at peak demand. So energy storage. There are different types of energy storage systems that already exist that can be built upon, given the political will, and further research can be done to promote them. Let me run you through a couple energy storage systems, a couple energy storage techniques rather. And I'm going to share these with you from a Union of Concerned Scientists, How Energy Storage Works, published in February 19, 2015. A few years old now, but a great overview. And if you like, I will provide you the link below the video. The electricity grid is a complex system. Constant adjustments to the supply are needed for predictable changes in demand, such as the daily patterns of human activity, as well as unexpected changes from equipment overloads and storms. See what I'm saying? It's always been there, that need to have energy storage and energy backup. Storage technique number one that I found really interesting is pumped hydro storage. And I found it interesting because it's so simple. Many hydroelectric power plants include two reservoirs at different elevations. These plants store energy by pumping water into the upper reservoir when supply exceeds demand. When demand exceeds supply, the water is released into the lower reservoir by running downhill through turbines to generate electricity. How simple. Pump it up when you're not needing that extra power. Let it run down when you need it. Another technique, thermal storage, meaning heat storage. Concentrating solar plants can capture heat from the sun and store the energy in water, molten salts, or other fluids. 3. Hydrogen. Excess electricity can be used to create hydrogen, which can be stored and used later in fuel cells. So these storage techniques can be used either to store energy produced by nuclear power plants, which require uranium and create a lot of radioactive waste and radioactive exposure along the way of their life cycle, or fossil fuels, which involve refining and burning of petrochemical fossil fuels, releasing lots of toxins in the air as you burn them, mine them, and process them. Or they can be used from wind power or solar power, which once they are manufactured and set up, then they require either the wind or the sun. Another, compressed air. Compressed air storage systems compress air using electricity during off-peak times and then store the air in underground caverns. Flywheels, storing electricity in the form of a spinning mass. And batteries. So we will discuss some of the issues regarding batteries I discussed in an earlier show about electric vehicles, but I'll come back to these topics in more detail. For now, know that there are ways to store the intermittent power generated by wind and solar. There's also other renewable power available, and all environmentalists call for conservation and less use of power and other disposable products. I hope you found this show helpful. If you did, please subscribe, please share, please like, please comment, and if you are caught up in the denial mindset, please make those comments mannerly. And until next time, peace be with you.